So get this, an AI tool just did what the world's best hackers couldn't. It absolutely tanked the stock of major cybersecurity companies in a single day. Anthropic has fired a massive warning shot at the entire industry, and believe me, investors are panicking. The big question is this just hype or is traditional cybersecurity officially dead? Let's break it down.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into that market shockwave. Then, we'll get into the actual tech that caused all the chaos. After that, we're going to uncover a secret arms race between the AI giants. And finally, we'll figure out what the real future of security actually looks like.
So first up, let's talk about the financial fallout. On February 20th, 2026, Anthropic made this one announcement that sent Wall Street into an absolute frenzy. The message to investors was loud, and it was crystal clear. If your money is tied up in some of the biggest names in cybersecurity, you're suddenly on very, very shaky ground. I mean, the announcement of this new tool, Claude Code Security, it immediately made people question if these billion-dollar companies were even relevant anymore. And this wasn't just talk, you know? The market's reaction was brutal, and it was immediate. Major cybersecurity stocks, we're talking giants like CrowdStrike and Cloudflare, just plummeted by nearly 8% in one trading session. That's millions of dollars in market value that just, poof, vaporized in a matter of hours. All because of one press release. And here's the kicker. This isn't some isolated incident. It's actually the second time this month that an announcement from Anthropic has caused a major sell-off in the market. It seems like they're just systematically going through and shaking up entire industries, and cybersecurity is just the latest to feel that tremor.
Okay, so that brings us to the real heart of the issue. What exactly is this technology, and why is it so incredibly disruptive? To really get it, we need to compare the old way of doing things with this new AI-powered approach.
For years and years, the gold standard for checking code security has been something called static analysis tools. Now, you can think of these like a security guard who has a really specific checklist. They scan your code, and they're just looking for problems they already know about, matching patterns against a giant database of known issues.
The problem with that whole checklist approach is that it's just rigid. I mean, it's great at finding common, well-documented flaws, but it can totally miss brand new types of attacks or weird vulnerabilities in niche coding languages. But Claude Code Security, it's completely different. It doesn't use a checklist. It actually reasons through the code, kind of like an expert human researcher would. It understands the context. It traces how data actually flows through an application.
By the way, if you're getting value out of this breakdown, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button down below. We're constantly putting out new explainers on the tech that is fundamentally reshaping our world, and we'd love for you to be a part of it.
And the process itself is just incredibly powerful. A developer can connect Claude right to their project's code on a platform like GitHub. Then, the AI maps out the entire application, literally understanding how all the different pieces talk to each other. It then spots those complex, subtle vulnerabilities that the old rule-based systems would just fly right past. And here's the absolute killer feature. It then generates the exact code you need to patch the flaw, ready to go with a single click.
And we're not talking about simple typos here. Claude is designed to find some really sophisticated flaws, things like unauthorized database commands, you might have heard them called SQL injections, or protocols where a hacker could just bypass authentication entirely, and even super complex exploits based on how data moves around inside the system. You know, these are the kinds of things that keep security experts up at night. Now, you might be thinking Anthropic has a monopoly on this game-changing tech. But this is where the story gets a major twist. They are not alone. There's been a secret AI security arms race heating up behind the scenes for months. Just take a look at this timeline. 4 months before Anthropic's big public splash, OpenAI quietly launched its own security tool called Aardvark. Then, bam, February 20th, Anthropic goes public with Claude Code Security, and the market crashes. What was once this quiet little competition between two AI giants has now just exploded into a full-blown public arms race. Which, of course, brings us to our final and most important section. What does this all mean for the future? I mean, is this really the end for companies like CrowdStrike, or is the market just overreacting?
This slide really frames the whole thing up nicely. Right now, these AI tools from Anthropic and OpenAI are mostly standalone. A developer has to go in and manually run a scan. Now, that's disruptive for sure, but it's isolated. The real power, the game-changing power, gets unlocked when this AI is deeply integrated into the existing developer pipelines, automatically checking code as it's being written.
So here's the crucial point. While investors are panicking and dumping stock, the smartest companies in this space, they're not planning for a fight to the death. They are getting ready for a massive wave of partnerships and acquisitions. Think about it. Companies like CrowdStrike have the distribution, the sales teams, the customer trust. Anthropic and OpenAI have the revolutionary AI models. The logical next step is for them to join forces. So in the end, this isn't an extinction event. It's a massive evolution. The panic in the market is based on this flawed idea of replacement, but the reality is probably going to be integration. And that leaves us with one final critical question. It's not about who will be replaced by this new technology, but rather, who's going to be smart and fast enough to adapt?